Good morning, boys and girls. Today I'm going to read for you a story that's called the Easter Story. It's written by Allia Nolan and it's illustrated by Trace Maroney. While Jesus was on earth, he healed the sick and he taught people about God. So everywhere he went, men and women, boys and girls wanted to meet him. One day, he had to go to Jerusalem to celebrate a feast day. As he rode into town on a donkey, a crowd ran out to meet him. Some shouted, "Blessed is the King," and they put their coats down in his path. Others waved palm branches and they sang songs. The leaders were jealous. They did not like Jesus. "Look how the people follow this man," they whispered. "We must find a way to get rid of him." That night, Jesus ate the Passover feast with his friends. He knew it would be the last meal they would eat together. He didn't want them to forget him. So when the food was passed around, he turned to them and said, "When you eat this bread and drink this wine, remember me." Jesus knew that the jealous leaders would take him away soon. He also knew that someone sitting in the room would turn him in. "Who is it, Lord?" asked John. Jesus answered, "The one that I give bread to." And he passed the loaf to Judas, and Judas whispered an excuse, and he left. After dinner, Jesus and some friends went to a garden. Jesus knew he was going to suffer and die, and he was very sad. "I'm going to pray now," Jesus said. "Please keep watch." His friends said, "Yes, Lord," but then they fell asleep. Jesus knelt and closed his eyes. "Father, you can take away this cup of suffering that is to come," he said softly, "but I will do whatever you want." Then Jesus got up and went back to his friends. Suddenly, a group of soldiers marched up to Jesus. Judas was with them. He ran over to Jesus and greeted him with a kiss. But that was the signal for the soldiers to arrest Jesus. And when they did, his friends left him and they ran away. Jesus was brought before the leaders. Some people told lies about him, but they had no proof. So the leaders could not charge Jesus with any wrong. Then they asked, "You say you are the Son of God? Is that true?" Jesus answered, "I am." This made the leaders very angry. "This man is guilty of a terrible offense. He said he is God's son when he is not," they shouted. "For this, he must be punished." The leaders decided that Jesus must die on a cross. But first, he had to carry it a very long way to a place called Calvary. The cross was very heavy, and Jesus fell 3 times. His friends could not do anything but look on and cry. Jesus died soon after. His friends took his body and buried it in a new tomb. They rolled a big stone in front, but the leaders were still afraid. They remembered that Jesus said he would rise again in 3 days. So they gave an order for soldiers to guard the tomb both day and night. A few days later, some friends went to Jesus' tomb. The big stone was rolled away. "It's empty," they shouted when they looked in. And then they saw an angel. Jesus is not here, the angel said. He's alive again. And so they ran to tell the others. After Jesus rose from the dead, he visited his friends who were happy to see him. Before he left for heaven, he told them to spread the good news of God's love to everyone. Because Jesus died and rose again, he earned us a place in heaven. And this is why we celebrate Easter. We celebrate Easter to remember what Jesus did for us and how much he loves us. This week is called Holy Week, and this Sunday is Easter. Easter comes on a Sunday every year in the spring. Springtime is a time of new life, much like when Jesus rose from the dead. After a long, cold winter, we see signs of new life in the spring. We see green grass growing, we see flowers blooming, we see leaves starting to sprout on trees. You might even see a bunny hopping in your yard and start to hear birds chirping. So boys and girls, I'd like you to take a sheet of paper or your journal, and I want you to draw a picture of all the beautiful things that we see coming to life now as we celebrate spring and Easter. Happy Easter, my friends.